Hey everybody, Tim Storaci from YYNOT here, and we're going to be doing a rig rundown of all the stuff I use live, how I record the albums, and the synth programming and all that stuff. All right, man, let's get to it. Here are my two main Rickenbackers right here. Well, my two only Rickenbackers, but 1977, 4001, and an 80-something 4001 as well. This bass has been my road dog since YYNOT started. It's on Run on Love on the first album. I really can't remember if I got it on the Resonance or not, but it's been a rock solid killer bass. The only mod I have on it is a hip shot bridge, which is just totally killer. And great bass, nice neck. You know, it's got some dings, It lived in a closet for 25 years before I got it, so I feel grateful that this bass found me. This one I picked up not too long ago, and it wound up, becoming, the new guy. A little bit more aggressive. The neck is just like a friggin', I don't know if you can see that, it's like a friggin' broomstick, almost to a fault where I want to pull the strings off the sides a little bit. So, but it records so well. And I started taking it out on the road with YYNOT. But I think when we resume things, I think Blackie's gonna take its road spot back, and this one's gonna sit in the studio, because it records so well. This one just has so much grunt and swagger and ass. It's just great live, Okay, next bass, Geddy Lee Jazz Bass. I have 3 of these. This particular specimen, as all of mine, have Tom Brantley, Geddy Lee pickups in it, which is just killer. I have hip shot tuning pegs. I change them on all of them. One of them has a hip shot bass extender as well. Okay, so these basses are so consistent. I can only fly with one bass, so it's always going to be a Rick. But I borrow a jazz bass from a fan or a friend while I'm on the road, and literally in 5 minutes and a new set of strings, it playing just like it's mine. Very consistent basses. I truly believe these are the most bang for your buck jazz basses out there. Even the new Mexican model ones are just fantastic. They're just great basses. They have a certain thing about them. Schmagilke, I think Geddy calls that. It's a certain thing that schmagilka, some word like that. There's a schma in there, but it's just a certain thing that you can't explain or define. All right. Yeah, you can Google that. That's a true thing. He really said that. All right. So, while we're Diodario strings, EXL 170 nickels. They just killer strings. They just last for me forever, and they drop off a very small amount very quickly and stay there for the duration. And then when the E or the A's done being bludgeoned to death, after geez, I've had them on for months at times. Just slap on a new set and I don't have to worry about a damn thing. Cool. So, the live rig, it goes like this. This little buggeroony is first. It's a line 6 relay, G50 wireless. I use 2 transmitters, one attached to each bass. I just turn them on and off, as they go. And I got some really cool cables from Diodario, very heavy duty, for the wireless transmitters. I've never had an issue since I swapped over to those. I have one one angled and one straight for the Rick and the Jazz. And I'm also using, it's a rig. This is part of my rig. Are these auto lock straps? I used to use the other ones. That's all I can say. And they would, go in and they would kind of grab, the button as, I'm playing the bass and moving around, and it would work its way loose sometimes, and it was becoming an issue. Plus it stood off a little bit more, and created more leverage to kind of fucking wallow that hole out. Oh, I said a bad word. All right. Oh, well. It's a pandemic, so I can. All right. So I found these auto lock straps, and they just drop on, lock on. Just the best things ever. And, I don't really care for big wide straps, so this is perfect for me. It feels like an old, comfortable, 71 Charger seatbelt. I love it. Okay, so from the wireless, I go into a Korg pitch black tuner. Comes with me on the road every show. Into an EBS multicomp, which I run in multiband mode. Kind of like right around there. I don't compress the lows as much as I compress the high end. There's little knobs inside. You open it up. And this thing is great. And then it'll go into the Sans amp I'm using. This has been, since the inception of YYNOT, my go-to Sans amp. Power driver with a mid-shift. It's essentially an RPM on the floor. But I believe it just lost its starting position to this bad boy. Which we essentially loosely have a power driver right here, but I also have a second channel, and I can send out 2 channels if I want to the house, or there's a little button in the back, which affectionately known as the G spot. If you hit it right, it'll combine both into one output. So that's cool, and that's live. And then from there, it'll go to an SVT, which is my preferred, a weapon of base destruction on the road, And this is pretty much where I keep the SVT set. I have my gain set up pretty high, both buttons in, bada ba. I use number 4 in the mid-frequency range. But, we'll adjust it to taste to suit how the room is or the particular cabinet. And if it's not an SVT, then no problem, because I'm running the Sans amp. So I'm always consistent. And there's a gnome, so that's cool. My local gig, I use a GK MB 800 Fusion, which is a killer, tiny little head. This little thing right here is like, it's incredible. It's smaller than a Wii, and it just has so much balls, RBI, of course, another Korg, GK Neo 410. This thing gets beat on every weekend for years, and it just never, ever even hiccups. This is the newest addition to my little amp stable. Tech 21 Power Engine Deuce Deluxe with the extension cabinet. Killer, very flat, very flat. It doesn't color it. It allows my pedals to sound like my pedals, and it's powerful, and it's light. And it's pretty badass. It's very simple, straightforward. Plug it in. Yeah, look at all the pedals. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's a badass little rig, and I've been using it in lieu of this guy for the last, 5 or 6 Fun Pipe shows. And it's just great. All right, let's get on to recording. Hope y'all can hear me. So, recording. This is what I use. I use the rack mount Sans amps only because I do. They just seem to work for me recording, and I know how to use them, and I know where I want to put stuff, and it just works out. RPM, RBI, and the the GED 2112. While I'm recording the Rickenbackers for the albums, I will use this little bugger right here, which is basically just like the Rico Sound splitter by a guy named Rich. And I'll use RPM, RBI, I'll use this, I'll swap between the two of them. I'll even, use a power driver and the YYZ pedal. So that all goes, whatever configuration I'm using for the Ricks. For the jazz bass, the first album was primarily an RBI. But we used an RPM on Etheria, and Billy really, really, really loved that bass sound in Etheria. He did some wondrous things with that. So we wound up experimenting more with the RPM, and I came to love this. So most of the album is RPM, most of Resonance, and it works out well. Okay, so now we'll go from an XLR, boom, to this high-tech piece of equipment. It is a Presonus USB audio box. It's the first interface I ever purchased, and probably going to be the last. I mean, it just works for me. It's all I need. I just plug my bass in, plug it into the laptop. Okay, so let's get to that. Rock solid, never had a problem with it. Probably outdated, but it works, so I'm not touching it. So, I will then record in Reaper, which is a really good DAW if you don't know how to use DAWs. It was simple, it was intuitive, and I was able to figure it out. Billy sends me the files. Here I have Synergos pulled up here, and I'll record, I'll lay down the WAV files that Billy gives me, and then, I'll record my bass, like here. Hopefully you can hear that. It's brutal, ain't it? Okay, that's that. So, and then I'll send the tracks to Billy, and Billy will do his magic. Okay, bye-bye, Reaper. Okay, no, we don't want to change anything there. Now, onto my keyboard situation. I use a program called Cantabile. I called it Cantabile for like 5 years. And then the guy who designed it, named Brad, he came correct with me. It's Cantabile. All right. It's killer. It allows me to, like, there's the whole set list, that have keys for YYNOT, and, all my VSTs, and it allows me to build each individual song, like there's Spirit of Radio, there's Digital Man, boom, absolutely zero time to load, there's Free Will, boom, Red Barchetta, boom, real quick. A lot of boomf going on there. So I'll program all the keys and samples and triggers and what have you, and build each individual song. Now then it'll come down to the working. Oh, look, coffee. It'll come down to the working part of it. Rolling PK5s or PK5As. I have several sets of these. Billy has a set that I leave with him, for the West Coast shows, and so essentially, like, we got Spirit of Radio in here, so. Which is great. I mean, it's the Cantabile allows me to program anything I want. And then I found this little bugger a year or two ago, Logity UMI3. It allows me to change songs. Like, I just hit that little button, number 3, and you see how quick. Boom, Digital Man. Digital Man loaded up. This is such a cool program to use for fast switching, because it'll load all the VSTs when you turn the program on. That way, it'll just switch to the next song with no delay or anything. Like, we got Digital Man there now, like. We all know that part, right? And then I'll hit the little Logity again. Boom! Free Will, You know what that part is, right? Where the solo comes in, So that's pretty cool. All right, that's that. Oh, and this is the keyboard I'll use. It's an M Audio. Oh, got to get the brand in there. M Audio. Oxygen 61. I mean, it's just it's a very affordable keyboard controller, and basically I can use any keyboard controller, and just plug it right in, to my laptop, and bam, there it is. So. All right, everybody. I'm guessing that's pretty much it. So, thank you. I'm going to try to flip this around. So let's see if I'm even in the camera view. Thank you for spending the time. Thanks for digging what we do. And stay tuned for more YYNOT stuff, because we got a lot of really cool things planned to get you and us through this whole situation. We're all going to end up on our feet, and we're going to have a blast when it's all over. All right, peace out. Love you all. Bye.